For a long time, I believed that brain health was something guaranteed, a kind of biological inheritance that followed us throughout life, regardless of what we did. I thought that memory, focus, and mental clarity were fixed characteristics, almost unchangeable. But as the years passed, I realized something different and deeply uncomfortable. I realized that the brain speaks to us every day, but we don't always listen. It speaks when we forget simple things, when we lose our rhythm, when concentration evaporates even in front of the most important tasks. It speaks when we feel that mental fatigue that doesn't match the age we have. It speaks when anxiety grows and the mind seems to run at high speed, without direction. And when we finally listen, sometimes we are already too far from the balance we once had. It was in this process, between research, professional observations, and personal experiences, that I understood an inevitable truth. The brain needs nourishment, and not just in the caloric sense. It needs specific nutrients, molecules that calm inflammation, that reinforce the connections between neurons, that protect memory, and that strengthen the ability to think clearly in the face of stress, age, and the growing demands of the modern world. And among all the foods I investigated, one group in particular caught my attention due to the consistency of the evidence and the simplicity of its use: dried fruits. They are small, discreet, and almost always treated as supporting characters in our diet. But when we look closer, we realize they carry an impressive combination of essential nutrients for brain function. Today, I want to share something that changed not only my knowledge, but my life: the 4 dried fruits that restore brain health. This is not about empty promises or miracle superfoods. It's about science, physiology, practice, and humanity. Because in the end, we all want to preserve what we have that is most precious: our mind. Throughout this script, I speak as a professional, but also as a human being. As someone who has experienced the weight of mental fatigue and, at the same time, the liberating sensation of regaining clarity, energy, and emotional stability through simple decisions. I am Dr. Joni, and on this channel, I give health and nutrition tips for people over 40. So subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any tips that may be useful to you. Leave a like as well and share it with more people. Now, let's move into the development and dive deeply into each of these 4 dried fruits. The 4 dried fruits that restore the brain. 1. Walnuts, the biological shield of memory. Walnuts were, for me, the gateway to a new understanding of brain nutrition. I always found it curious how they resemble a human brain when observed closely. And as symbolic as that comparison may seem, the truth is that it reflects an impressive biochemical reality. Walnuts are one of the largest plant sources of omega-3, especially alpha-linolenic acid, a nutrient essential for forming neuronal membranes. This fatty acid integrates into the cell structure and improves membrane fluidity, which, in practice, means neurons communicating with more precision and efficiency. When I immersed myself in studies about the effect of walnuts on the brain, I noticed something that deeply marked me. Individuals who frequently consume walnuts perform better in memory, attention, and processing speed tests. This is not a coincidence. It's the consequence of a food that nourishes, protects, and regenerates. Another crucial point is the antioxidant action of walnuts. They contain polyphenols and anti-inflammatory compounds that reduce oxidative stress in brain tissue. And this is fundamental because inflammation is one of the main causes of neuronal degeneration. It acts silently, eroding our ability to reason, diminishing our clarity, and accelerating mental aging. I felt this in practice. There was a time when the intense work rhythm started affecting my focus. I had difficulty maintaining attention on simple tasks and noticed lapses that worried me. When I added walnuts to my routine, not as something extraordinary, but as part of the day, I noticed a gradual recovery. There was no magical moment. There was consistency, and with that consistency came mental clarity. Walnuts are more than food. They are a biological shield for the brain. 2. Almonds, mental energy that sustains with consistency. If walnuts are the shield, almonds are the energy. And energy, when we talk about the brain, is not just fuel, it is stability. It is the ability to stay focused throughout the day, to avoid emotional spikes, to sustain clarity even when the body and mind face challenges. I discovered the potential of almonds during a moment of complete exhaustion. I worked long hours, accumulated responsibilities, and noticed my mind collapsing. It was in this scenario that I learned almonds are incredibly rich in vitamin E, a powerful antioxidant that protects the brain against oxidative stress. Vitamin E preserves the integrity of brain cells, reduces inflammation, and improves neural communication. Studies show that people who consume good amounts of this nutrient have a lower risk of developing neurodegenerative diseases. And this is not distant theory, it's daily practice. Additionally, almonds contain proteins, fibers, and healthy fats that release energy gradually. And the brain appreciates this stability. It does not work well with abrupt fluctuations in blood sugar. It needs consistency to maintain focus, mental speed, and emotional balance. I remember the first time I noticed the difference. It was late afternoon, that time when the mind usually weakens. But with a small portion of almonds as a break, I noticed that my clarity remained. It wasn't an artificial stimulant, it was support. Almonds also contribute to long-term memory. There's evidence that their bioactive compounds reinforce brain plasticity, the ability of the brain to create and strengthen connections. This means thinking better, remembering better, and aging with more health. 3. Dates. The strength of memory and emotional stability. Dates taught me something I did not expect, that food can also calm the mind. Before, I saw this fruit only as a natural sweetener. But when I began studying its effects, I discovered it is much more than that. Dates are rich in polyphenols, antioxidant compounds that reduce inflammation in the central nervous system. But their impact goes beyond the physical structure of the brain. Dates influence neurotransmitters linked to mood, emotional stability, and well-being. I noticed this change almost intuitively. On days of greater stress, when the mind felt accelerated and the body tense, eating dates brought me a strange and deep sense of balance. Later, I understood. Their antioxidants help regulate brain chemicals associated with stress. Additionally, they are an excellent source of natural glucose, and the brain depends entirely on this type of energy to function. The glucose from dates does not create aggressive spikes like refined sugars. It provides continuous release, keeping the mind awake and stable. The combination of fibers and minerals also helps maintain more stable blood sugar levels, something essential for mood and cognitive clarity. A brain with stable glucose thinks better, reacts better, and feels better. For me, dates are not just energy. They are emotional stability, something we often forget is part of brain health. 4. Raisins, small in size, deep in action. Raisins were perhaps the dried fruit that surprised me the most. For a long time, I saw them only as a complement in recipes, something too small to make a difference. But I was wrong. Raisins are rich in catechins, powerful antioxidants that reduce inflammation in brain tissue and help protect against cognitive decline. But that's not all. They improve blood circulation, and this is crucial. The brain depends on a constant flow of oxygen and nutrients. If this flow decreases, the mind loses speed, clarity, and reasoning capacity. Additionally, raisins provide potassium, a mineral that regulates electrical communication between neurons. Without this electrochemical balance, no brain message is transmitted correctly. At first, I didn't believe something so simple could make a difference. But when I began including them consistently, I noticed an unexpected mental lightness, as if my mind breathed better, as if every thought flowed with less resistance. The truth is that we often underestimate foods that carry exactly what our body most needs. The reconstruction of the brain is a daily choice. After years of researching, observing, and experimenting, I learned something fundamental. Brain health does not depend on a major revolution in diet. It depends on small gestures repeated every day. Walnuts strengthen neural structure and protect against wear. Almonds sustain energy and improve memory. Dates balance mood and provide clean fuel for thinking. Raisins reduce inflammation and improve the circulation that nourishes each brain cell. These four dried fruits together form a natural arsenal to restore what modern routine constantly tries to take from us: focus, clarity, emotional stability, and mental longevity. I did not choose these fruits because they are trendy. I chose them because I felt their impact in my life, because I saw, in studies and in real experiences, that they have the power to transform the brain from the inside out. And if today I can think more clearly, feel more balanced, and live with more presence, it is because I understood that the brain does not need miracles. It needs care. And that care begins with simple choices. It begins with what fits in the palm of your hand. It begins when we decide to nourish not only the body, but also the mind. Before we finish, I want to say that I will leave some supplement links that can help your health in the description of this video. If you suffer from insomnia, poor digestion, or an unpleasant gastrointestinal tract, you should check below. Well, if you want to restore your mental energy, strengthen your memory, and protect your mind, start with these four dried fruits. Small choices, big transformations. It has always been this way. That's it. See you in the next video.